Nah, men are just being cowards these days. Men are just being cowards. Like, all I was trying to get him to do is if he can try a little bit to avoid the shaming language so we can actually get to a solution. He couldn't. He didn't get it. Like, honestly, and you know how these conversations go, they never really end. We're going to talk about that as well, right? They never end because they don't get to a solution. It's like people enjoy the toxic vibes of just argument for no reason, right? And they don't really care about. All right, welcome back. Let's get into it.
A lot of Oxtail and Jollof Twitter is celebrating too, by the way. You don't miss that. Look at some of the people who are celebrating. Look at some of these foreign flags. I don't want y'all to miss that part of the game either. They hate to be called out, but they like to do little shit, and they try to attack us by proxy. They'll use one foundation of Black American as a proxy for all of us. I don't want y'all to miss that part of the game either. Look at some of these foreign flags that's doing a lot of the grease throwing. All right, let me get some more people.
I completely missed all the foreign flags. Maybe somebody can share with me. You can follow me, by the way, in Man of Prestige. I think it ends with the underscore on Twitter. And share that with me over there, or just share with me on my IG iTalksB if you have that anywhere. But again, I wouldn't say as usual because sometimes it makes sense. TARIQ Nasheed is the one talking here. This was literally less than 24 hours after the news went out that after the rumor started spreading that Kevin Samuel passed away, right? And then he released this video, and basically in this video he's suggesting that the non-FBAs are the one are part of the people celebrating Kevin Samuels. I don't know, like it's kind of interesting how different echo chambers are created all over YouTube, right? And just today I was watching somebody literally saying that anyway, leave that alone. Let me play this video one more time. I don't know what Jollof has to do with this. I really don't get it. Okay, so for those of you that are not familiar with us Africans, we have one of our favorite dishes ever is jollof, especially Nigerian jollof. It's the best thing. Don't argue with me, argue with your destiny. Jollof, Nigerian jollof is the best. Okay, Ghanaian jollof is trash. Every other jollof out there is trash. Nigerian jollof is the best. So it's just food. Okay, now I don't know what that has to do with what we're talking about, but let's play that clip again. This is what TARIQ Nasheed has to say about Kevin Samuels passing away. And I'm completely lost. You know, maybe you can explain something to me. I'm just here asking questions, and I'm just, we're just having a conversation. A very important conversation at that, right? Okay, now there are some other videos out there that I'll play some other clips for you. Let's play this first.
Be clear, a lot of Oxtail and Jollof Twitter is celebrating
and
too.
Jollof. He said, and Jollof Twitter. Okay, so he's talking about people that eat Jollof, but they're on Twitter. All right.
You don't miss that. Look at some of the people who are celebrating. Look at some of these foreign flags. I don't want y'all to miss that part of the game either. They hate to be called out, but they like to do little shit, and they try to attack us by proxy. They'll
try to attack us by proxy. What does proxy mean? I guess that's some kind of like remotely, right? So anytime somebody is being called out for something, even if the person just passed away, what is it? Africans, non-FBAs in general, Chinese people, they look for opportunities. Let me make sure that you guys can hear me, by the way. I think you can. All right, yes. Right? What is that? Like anybody that's not FBA tends to use to attack? I'm confused. Now, where I'm from, right? I know, I was raised, I've seen that all group of people around the world attack each other. It's just what it is, including the genders. I mean, that's the conversation we're having, right? Like everyone is always looking for a way to point finger. Now, here's the issue here that we're going to talk about today a lot, okay? Every time you're pointing a finger, I know that sounds kumbaya and cliche as hell, It's always four fingers pointing at you. Okay, at least three, right? You point the finger, one is pointing up in the sky, and the three is pointing right back at you. This is real in real life. This is not just some cliche talk. It's real. Here's why. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It takes a certain amount of energy to be pointing fingers. Blame game, right? The shaming game. I've heard people say we need shaming coming back to our society. Sadly, the problem with that is that I get what you're saying. I get it. I completely get what you're saying. You're looking to call people to order. You're looking to hold people accountable, right? But then, usually, from what I've seen on the internet, you're just shaming, okay? And these are sizable books. They're minimum 200 pages. You can download them absolutely for free by simply going to, for example, this one, you just go to getmymarriageback.com, smartrealestatewholesaling.com, realestatemoneysecrets.com. So yes, I am a 3-times author. Those books are out there for your consumption, and they are also available everywhere on Amazon, anywhere that you pick up books. So in case you prefer a physical book like that. The other day I was having a conversation with another gentleman, and basically I was asking him what was wrong with patriarchy. I was policing his talking, by the way, right? What was wrong with patriarchy? And he goes, men are just cowards. I was like, okay, I get that. This is a man talking, okay? This is just the kind of man we have today. The words are a lot more louder than our actions. So what was wrong? Like, this wasn't a rhetorical question. This wasn't a tricky or condescending question. I honestly wanted to see if I could put it into better words. Because again, when you start to hear certain rhetorics, right, it's interpreted as something else entirely, something usually toxic on the other end, right? And I said, what was wrong with patriarchy? Because he was basically fighting that he lost patriarchy, is here to stay, nothing, like patriarchy is everything in the world. It's basically answer all solution, right? I said, okay, now we're having this conversation because, quote unquote, there's a group of men online yelling at the top of their lungs, thinking feminism is taking over patriarchy. I get that. To a large extent, I would agree with you, case by case. But I'm asking you, what was so wrong with patriarchy? If it was so good, how come some random isms like feminism, right, was able to be attempting to take over? That's the question I was asking him. And he goes in, nah, men are just being cowards these days. Men are just being cowards. Like, all I was trying to get him to do is if he can try a little bit to avoid the shaming language so we can actually get to a solution. He couldn't. He didn't get it. Like, honestly, and you know how these conversations go, they never really end. We're going to talk about that as well, right? They never end because they don't get to a solution. It's like people enjoy the toxic vibes of just argument for no reason, right? And they don't really care about solution, right? And that's what I am seeing. The shaming language, the blame game, condemnation, judgment. This energy takes a certain amount of energy to point fingers at other group of people. It's just that much energy away from working on yourself. You get the gist? It's not about me telling you not to shame people. Like, honestly, I could care less to a large extent too, right? But if you're having a conversation with me, I'm forced to kind of tell you, like, listen, you're putting a lot of energy into blaming and shaming. That's just that much energy that you're taking away from working on yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're going to attract who you are. I know that sounds horrible and terrible and not so fair, right? But it's the reality. Gentlemen, that's the reality. You're going to, especially if we're seeing this as a result on a consistent basis, you're attracting who you are. We're not talking about worst case scenario where it was just a terrible situation that happened to you. We're not talking about a situation where you're a sick person, you're in the emergency room, or you're in the ICU somewhere. That's not what I'm talking about. There are some unfortunate things in life. I'm talking about when you're interacting with me, you have two arms, you have two legs, right? You can speak clear, articulate yourself eloquently, but nonetheless you're creating terrible results in your relationships. That's what I am talking about, right? And your form of solution is to point fingers. If you're pointing fingers, I get it. You want to do it your own way. You don't want me to police how you talk. However, you're hearing me right now. You're hearing me, right? Shaming, blaming, sign language, insulting other people, guilt tripping, right? The need to be right consumes a certain amount of energy. You have limited energy flowing through you at any point. You only have so much energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, but it's flowing away from you. The more you're putting so much energy in unproductive activities. Like, again, for you, it's not productive. Shaming, blaming, condemnation, judgment, right? Guilt tripping, all this kind of energy, right? This thing is taking so much energy away from working on yourself, building your empire, building your legacy, right? It's so much energy that you're wasting on those kind of activity. And I just wanted to point that out, right? And that's exactly what TARIQ is doing here. Now, not for himself personally, but for his followers that are following him blindly, right? Because at the end of the day, he recorded, he's putting out content. There's only a certain amount of thousands of people that watch those content per time. That's money going in his pocket. So for him personally, it's not a big deal, at least not right now, right? But I just wanted to point that out really quickly, all right? Let's move on right now to the next segment. We've got more to cover today. We've got more, trust me.